Begin tonight in Dallas County, where detectives are investigating the death of a mother and her little boy.
Seagoville police were called to a welfare check last week when relatives couldn't get in contact with them, and officers found the mother and son both unresponsive inside their home.
Janelle Ford just spoke with some of their neighbors and joins us live in Seagoville with what she's learned.
Well, Chris and Izzy, overall, this is just a very sad situation. The neighbors tell me that the mother and son were found dead in the garage of this home. You can see where someone's come and placed flowers out front. And tonight, investigators are working to learn exactly what happened.
A mother, a son, a sealed garage, and a silence that still hasn't been explained. On a quiet July morning, 27-year-old Lyric Bacchus and her 7-year-old son, Deuce, were found lifeless inside their garage, both still seated inside their car. The vehicle was off, but the damage had already been done. The official story? Carbon monoxide poisoning. But as the news spread and the internet began asking questions, a different narrative began to take shape. One filled with confusion, suspicion, and heartbreak. Because something about this case just doesn't sit right.
In the garage and just fell asleep. Then I was like, okay, one question. Well, I have 5 or 6, 7 questions. What woman you know, what mom you know, okay, pulls up, okay, to her house, hit the garage door, okay, to be open, pulls in, put the car in park, okay, close the garage, okay, and decides, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Let's break this down. A mother pulls up to her home. She opens the garage. She drives inside. She puts the car in park. She closes the garage behind her. And then, what? She just leans back and decides to fall asleep? Deuce was 7 years old enough to speak, old enough to say, "Mom, let's go inside." But neither of them made it out of that car alive. Why didn't she go inside the house? Why stay in the car? Why close the garage door and leave the engine running? Was it an accident? A moment of exhaustion? Or something else entirely? The family believes it was a tragic mistake, a lethal buildup of carbon monoxide. But many online aren't so sure. And once you hear the whole story, you might not be either. Because this case, it looks simple. It sounds tragic. But the deeper you look, the less sense it all makes. Welcome to Crime Gone Viral, where we don't just tell stories, we question them. Because in a world full of headlines, we chase what's beneath them. This is where true crime gets uncomfortable. If you're ready, let's dive in.
Now the son is old enough to speak, okay? And I'm sure he would have been saying, "Mom, come on, let's go. Let's go in the house, wake up." Okay? Even if he was asleep in the car, you know the first thing you want to do is get them kids in the house. You want to get them in the house. You want to bathe them, get them whatever, how y'all do. Okay? So I just have a question. What y'all think about it? Because I just feel like y'all sweeping up under the rug too easy for me. Okay? It sounds easy, don't it? It sounds like the perfect, but it don't make sense to me. Just help me out. So you as a parent, your kids in the car, you don't mind. You open. You do all these steps. Do. These are steps that has to be done. Okay? Please don't tell me she back then. Okay? I'm just saying. All these steps that has to be done. Open the garage. Put the car in park. Close the garage. And you decide to snuggle in the front seat and be like, because I want to get in my bed. I don't know.
July 27th, 2024, a blistering Texas summer afternoon. Seagoville, a quiet suburb southeast of Dallas, where time moves slow and families live side by side in peaceful repetition. But that day, something broke the routine, something irreversible. Lyric Backus, 27 years old, was a mother, daughter, and friend, her smile wide, radiant, familiar to many in her circle. She wasn't a stranger to social media. Her presence, her energy left echoes online. And her son, Deuce, only 7, a vibrant child, active and sweet, with a voice that filled rooms and a spirit that people say was far older than his years. That morning, Lyric was reportedly driving home, just the two of them. No emergencies, no calls for help. No visible signs of distress. She arrives at her Seagoville home, opens the garage, pulls inside, and, for reasons no one has been able to explain, she stays there. She doesn't exit the vehicle. She doesn't take her son inside. She doesn't turn off the engine. She closes the garage door, and that's where the story stops making sense. If you're a parent or you've ever cared for a child, you know how instinctual the next steps are. You get them inside, get them out of the heat, unbuckle them, carry them, comfort them. You don't just sit there. Not with the garage sealed, not with the engine running, not in the middle of a Texas summer. Yet Lyric and Deuce never made it inside that house, and when they were found, hours later, they were still in the car.
County detectives are investigating the death of a mother and her little boy. Seagoville police found Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son Deuce dead in the garage last week. Family believes the pair died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Police are waiting on autopsies before confirming.
Elise responded. The car was no longer running, but the damage, silent, odorless, invisible, had already passed through them. The leading theory? Carbon monoxide poisoning. But the leading question? Why? She wasn't far from her bed. She wasn't miles from home. She was home. So why didn't she go inside? It looked like a tragic accident, a quiet death. But even in tragedy, there are signs, decisions, steps taken or not taken, that leave behind questions louder than any official report. And soon, those questions would ripple far beyond that garage. Next up, what Lyric's family believed, and why we on Crime Gone Viral don't buy it. Stick around, there's more.
Family believes the pair died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Police are waiting on autopsies before confirming.
To those who loved Lyric Backus, the explanation feels heartbreakingly simple and painfully irreversible. It's called the silent killer for a reason. Odorless, tasteless, invisible. Carbon monoxide slips into the bloodstream undetected, replacing oxygen, suffocating silently. Even as the person continues to breathe. Within minutes, confusion sets in, then dizziness, then unconsciousness, and often, death. The family believes this is exactly what happened. That Lyric pulled into the garage, car still running, maybe exhausted, maybe just distracted, and unintentionally sealed their fate. A tragic accident, a miscalculation in the middle of a long day. That's the version the family has shared publicly. And on the surface, it makes sense. But what about the details? Why was she still in the car? Why didn't she just go inside the house, just steps away? Why was the garage door shut? The autopsy and toxicology reports are critical in confirming carbon monoxide poisoning. And yes, it haven't yet been publicly released. As of now, no official cause of death has been confirmed. So we're left with a theory and a growing number of people who aren't convinced. Because even if carbon monoxide was the killer, what brought them into that garage in the first place? There's no argument that carbon monoxide can kill, but there's still one haunting question left dangling in the Texas heat. What were they doing in that car? And why didn't they get out? Because if this was truly just a mistake, why does it feel so unnatural? It didn't take long. The moment the news broke, mother and son found dead in Seagoville garage, the internet lit up. Not with sympathy, not with quiet mourning, but with questions. Because the more people heard, the less it made sense. The comment sections were full of mixed reactions, some condolences, others disbelief. Why would a mother just sit there with her child in a sealed garage? Make it make sense. The questions came fast. Wouldn't the child have spoken up? Wouldn't she have wanted to get inside, into bed, into air conditioning? Why would a parent, any parent, choose to stay in the car? More TikToks dropped. People revisiting old clips of Lyric, speculating, analyzing body language, digging into who she knew, where she was that day, and what may have led her there. And not everyone was content with the explanation of carbon monoxide poisoning, because something about this story wasn't just sad, it was off. In the age of virality, justice isn't just about courts and cops anymore, it's about who's watching, and who's asking the uncomfortable questions. Because the truth? Not everyone agrees it was just an accident, and soon, even more secrets would surface. Next up, we examine what didn't add up, because sometimes the details reveal what the headlines don't. Let's stop for a moment. Let's lay out the scene. Again, a 27-year-old mother pulls into her garage with her 7-year-old son in the backseat. She opens the garage door, parks the car, closes the door behind them, and then she never gets out. Neither of them do. But ask yourself this, why not bring Deuce into the house? We're not talking about an infant asleep in a car seat. Deuce was 7 years old enough to walk, old enough to talk, old enough to say, "Mom, let's go inside." So why didn't he? Was he asleep? Possibly. But even then, every parent knows the first thing you do is get your child out of a hot car and into the house. It's instinct, it's automatic. And remember, this was summer. Texas summer. Triple digits aren't unusual. Even with air conditioning on, staying in a closed garage, it makes no sense.
Now, the son is old enough to speak, okay? And I'm sure he would have been saying, "Mom, come on, let's go. Let's go in the house, wake up." Okay? Even if he was asleep in the car, you know the first thing you want to do is get them kids in the house. You want to get them in the house. You want to bathe them, get them whatever, how y'all do. Okay? So I just have a question. What y'all think about it?
Why would any mother, tired or not, choose to sit in a car with her child inside a closed garage rather than take the literal 10 steps into her home? What was stopping her? And what was going through her mind in those final moments? Could something else explain their location? Was she disoriented? Was she under the influence of something? Was she avoiding someone? Was she waiting for something or someone? It's easy to call it a mistake, easier still to say it was exhaustion. But sometimes, when you zoom in on the details, the story starts to crack. Because here's the thing. The steps she took, they were deliberate. Open the garage, pull in, put the car in park, close the garage, sit, wait.
Because I just feel like y'all sweeping up under the rug too easy for me. Okay? It sounds easy, don't it? It sounds like the perfect, but it don't make sense to me. Just help me out. So as a parent, your kids in the car, you don't mind, you open, you do all these steps, do. These are steps that has to be done. Okay? Please don't tell me she back then. Okay? I'm just saying. All these steps that has to be done. Open the garage, put the car in park, close the garage, and you decide to snuggle in the front seat and be like, because I want to get in my bed. I don't know.
That's not a moment of confusion. That's a sequence of decisions. And when you stack it all up, the answers don't add up. That maybe someone else knew more. Because the deeper we looked, the more we found. Next up, where was the father? And why wasn't Deuce at his house that night? In every tragedy, there's the question of who was there and who wasn't. And in this case, two absences stood out. The father and the friend. Let's start with the father. Deuce wasn't just any child. He was 7. He had 2 parents. And on the night he died, many were left wondering, why wasn't he at his father's house? If Lyric had been tired, if she had been drinking, if she was in any state of distress, Why didn't someone, especially the father, step in? So what happened here? Why didn't anyone stop this? And then there's the friend. Reportedly, Lyric had just spent time with someone close before returning home. A birthday celebration, laughter, drinks, joy. A friend knew she was heading home with her son. That friend knew she was driving, but apparently, no one offered to help. Why didn't someone say, "Let me drive, let me go with you, let me call the father"? The silence afterward was deafening.
So listen, you guys, I just have something on my mind real quick, and I just need to get it off of my chest. So I'm on TikTok, okay, minding my business, being nosy like I always do, okay, and I see Yellow Beezy. They have, the little video about his baby mama and stuff like that, right? And I was like, darn, I remember hearing something about that. But as soon as I scroll on it, I heard alert, alert, alert. Now I do have discernments, okay? I am very good at what I do, okay? So I'm like, okay, let me read the comments and see what they talking about. So they was like, why you got Yellow Beezy name up there? He ain't had nothing to do with it.
And then the names started dropping. Rod Wave, Yellow Beezy. Not in a gossip headline, but in the funeral guest list. Multiple TikTok users, Facebook posters, and even some YouTube breakdowns claimed that both artists contributed to Lyric's funeral expenses. Not just that. Yellow Beezy reportedly attended her wake, quietly, without fanfare. And those who knew Lyric, they started whispering about history. Not just history with Beezy, but alleged connections to high-profile names. And suddenly, a new set of questions began to emerge, not about what happened in the garage, but what might have happened before. Who was Lyric to these men? What was the true nature of those relationships? Was someone trying to keep something quiet? Was someone protecting a reputation? We don't know. We're not here to push rumors. But when high-profile names move in silence and pay for funerals without a word, people take notice. Especially when the official story is full of holes. Was this just grief playing out behind closed doors? Or was something darker being buried along with the truth? Because when people start whispering, it's usually not for no reason. When truth feels incomplete, speculation rushes in to fill the silence. And in the days after Lyric Bacchus and her son Deuce were found dead, the silence from officials only amplified the noise from everywhere else. Reports suggest that Lyric may have been struggling with mental health. Rumors have circulated that she was dealing with external pressure, possibly stemming from co-parenting dynamics, a strained relationship, or even more complicated personal entanglements. Some theories point to substance use, fueled by cryptic posts, vague references, and whispered TikTok clips from alleged friends and associates. One voice asked bluntly, "The truth is, we don't know. Toxicology results haven't been released. The family hasn't confirmed any struggle. There's no documented evidence of impairment. But still, the theory persists. Some say Lyric wasn't in her right mind, that she was overwhelmed, exhausted, pushed past a breaking point. Others believe she may have been hiding something or protecting someone. And then the darker whispers began. What if she didn't fall asleep at all? What if she was already unconscious when that garage door closed? What if she was placed there? No evidence, no official statements, just mounting unease, and one question that won't go away. Was there more beneath the surface than anyone's been willing to say? In cases like this, it's not just what's said that matters, it's what isn't. And sometimes, when the facts stay sealed, the theories scream louder than the truth. In every death investigation, timing is everything. Who was where, what was seen, and when the alarm was finally raised. This case was no different, but instead of clarity, the timeline only deepened the mystery. Here's what we know. The bodies of Lyric Bacchus and her 7-year-old son, Deuce, were discovered inside their closed garage, seated in their car, sometime in the early morning hours. Police were alerted shortly after, though officials have not released the exact time of the 911 call. When Segoville officers arrived, the scene was chilling. No signs of forced entry, no visible trauma, no damage to the vehicle. The car engine was no longer running. but based on preliminary reports, it likely had been running for hours. When Siga Mill officers arrived, the scene was chilling. No signs of forced entry, no visible trauma, no damage to the vehicle. The car engine was no longer running, but based on preliminary reports, it likely had been running for hours. Investigators began collecting evidence, and quickly the narrative shifted toward carbon monoxide poisoning. But here's what's strange. Authorities have not released the official autopsy report, the toxicology report, any information about surveillance footage from the home, or even a detailed timeline of events leading up to that moment. So far, investigators have said very little. No confirmation of whether the garage door was malfunctioning. No public statements about alcohol, drugs, or health conditions. No comment on whether any individuals were questioned or detained. Even the estimated time of death hasn't been disclosed. Why? Why in a case involving a child is the flow of information so tightly controlled? Some believe it's standard procedure, that authorities are waiting on lab confirmations before speaking. Others aren't so sure. Until the results come in, the case sits in limbo, a tragic story without a conclusion. And silence, from both investigators and those closest to Lyric, leaves room for only one thing: speculation.
Dallas County detectives are investigating the death of a mother and her little boy. Seagoville police found Lyric Bacchus and her 7-year-old son Deuce dead in the garage last week. Home surveillance cameras captured the chaos. Deuce was a first grader in Seagoville. Bacchus was a social media influencer. She had a clothing boutique and tens of thousands of followers. Family believes the pair died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Police are waiting on autopsies before confirming.
Everything, every theory, every headline, every viral post is balanced on one thing: the autopsy. As of now, there is no official cause of death. The medical examiner's report remains sealed. And while the family, the public, even the media point to carbon monoxide as the most likely explanation, there's one problem: we don't know. If the toxicology report confirms high levels of carbon monoxide in their blood, it will support the theory of an accidental poisoning. But if it doesn't, then everything changes. Because if there was no carbon monoxide, if the levels were too low, if other substances show up instead, or none at all, then we're no longer looking at a tragic accident. We're looking at something else entirely. Was this a mistake, or was it a setup? Was she impaired, or was she unconscious for another reason? Was this a moment of exhaustion, or something more deliberate? And if someone else was involved, who would want a mother and her child gone? In the end, this is more than a mystery, more than a headline, more than a theory to debate on TikTok. This is the story of a mother and her son, found together in a place no one should die, sealed inside their own home, in silence. Their names were Lyric and Deuce. She was 27, he was just 7. Their lives, full of music, laughter, routine, and motherhood, stopped cold behind a closed garage door. And while the world debates toxicology, theories, and hidden connections, a family is shattered. A little boy will never go to 2nd grade. A mother will never post another birthday picture. And the questions still echo, louder than the answers. Why didn't she go inside? Why was the engine left running? Why didn't someone stop her? And what really happened in those final moments? Maybe the autopsy will bring closure. Maybe it won't. Maybe we'll find that this was a tragic mistake. Or maybe it was something else. But one truth remains. Answers may come, but nothing will erase this unthinkable loss. If this story moved you, if it raised questions in your mind that refused to settle, we want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think really happened? Subscribe for more investigations like this, where the stories are real, the emotions are raw, and the truth isn't always easy to find. And if you made it this far, thank you. Your attention honors their memory. This is Crime Gone Viral, where we don't just report the story, we follow the silence. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and stay questioning. God bless you.